Have you lost weight only to gain it right back after returning to your routine? Did your diet work for someone else but not you? Rockin' That ID Life helps you understand your genetic makeup to find a lifestyle that fits your needs. Together, you and RockinThatIDLife.com can focus on your health and meet your goals today. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. If you haven't heard, Center Ice Brewery beer is now exclusively available at beer stores around town, so make sure you pick some up on your next milk and eggs run. That's Center Ice Brewery. Please drink responsibly.
This is the summer edition of Let's Go Blues Radio. I am your host, Jeff Ponder, and we're here with another fun summer episode. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to stay tuned with us all summer as we bring you this kind of content and more all summer long. So we're still in the dark days of summer for hockey fans, but still bringing you content, and we're going to start doing some more fun stuff too with Cart and Bill as well. So make sure you tune in every week for that. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by RockinThatIDLife.com, where we help you make every workout, every meal count, do life better. And by CenterIceBrewery.com, St. Louis's wonderfully crafted hockey-themed beer, found at local grocery stores and liquor stores in the St. Louis area. This is franchise episode number 370 all-time. This is season 10, episode 52. As you can tell, if you're watching the video about my attire, I am on vacation right now. The magic of technology. I'm recording this before I leave, but I am going down to Panama Beach for a week, so that's going to be a lot of fun. So by the time this episode airs, I will have had a couple days in the sun on the beach. Sorry, St. Louis. I know a lot of you might be upset to hear that, but very excited to go, so I wanted to go ahead and get this episode together. That way I don't have to worry about it when I'm actually sitting on a beach. I don't want to have to be sitting and recording an episode and all that, having to deal with that. So this way I can just focus on me and my son and my wife and have a great time. But before I left for vacation, I was able to sit down with one of my favorite guests, and I mean that, Amanda Leveille. She is the starting goaltender for the Minnesota Whitecaps. She is a friend of the show, now a two-time friend of the show, but we really just mean an actual friend of the show. She's great. So we had her on. We talked some goaltending. We talked some Whitecaps. We talked some PHF. We talked about her growing up in Kingston and playing for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. We kind of went all over the place with this one. So very fun conversation, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If there's any Blues news that broke this week, sorry that we don't have an episode for you to talk about that. But we will be back next week. As I said, I think next week we're going to actually have another live show no matter what. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And, of course, you can podcast the next day, just like you might be right now listening to this episode. Remember, we bring you all kinds of content, all kinds of different hockey talk, whether it's things like this or about St. Louis hockey programs in the area. We talked about the Thunderbirds on a previous episode. Any kind of thing that's hockey, that's St. Louis related, or in this case, just hockey related. We will bring it to you this summer. So we are going to take a quick break here before we get to Lev. But here's a good quick word from our friends over at RockinThatIDLife.com and Center Ice Brewery. It's springtime, and I know in my house, it's such a good feeling to open up the windows and let the breeze roll in for new life in my home. Your body's no different. Detoxifying your body can reduce any inflammation, purify your blood, help with weight loss, improve sleep, and boost your circulation. Don't just go after those detoxifiers that only focus on the gut and bowel, though. If you're going to do it for real. The all-new Detox Box from RockinThatIDLife.com cleans all your systems, flushing your kidneys and bowels, detoxifying your liver, and restoring your microbiome for full homeostasis. You'll feel re-energized, restored, and renewed. Make your order now and receive a free detox water bottle with your order. Visit RockinThatIDLife.com or email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com and give your body that much-needed spring cleaning today.
Do you like hockey? Of course you do. Do you like beer? Of course you do. Are you 21? Well, let's hope so. If you answered yes to all of those questions, run on down to your local beer distributor and pick up a 2-4 of Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, or any other delicious hockey-themed beer from Center Ice Brewery. That's right, Center Ice Brewery beer is available at various beer stores around town, so check around for the one closest to you. That's Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues!
So today I am joined by a friend of the show, someone we've had on before and someone that we are very happy to welcome back, Miss Amanda Leveille of the Minnesota Whitecaps, known affectionately as Lev to many of the people around her. Lev was on last summer. We're bringing her on again as we get closer to the hockey season rolling around, thank God, as the summer doldrums are finally starting to end. Lev, thank you very much again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me back. I'm excited to have a good hockey conversation with you today again.
Oh well, I'll take that as a compliment. Good hockey conversation. I can take that. What we had? It's funny because we had a guy on last week that was he works for the St. Louis Science Center out here, and they've got a hockey exhibit. And it was just funny talking with him. He knows his stuff, because he was like the manager of special events, and so he came on and he's talked about how 5 years ago he had never even watched a hockey game. He grew up in Iowa, never been to a hockey game. So it was just funny. Like after the interview, he asked me something I love to find out from hockey guys. Just tell me what's something I don't know about hockey. Go. And I'm like, and I was trying to think. I started talking about like fourth line players and how everyone has a role. And I was like, have you heard this before? And he goes, no, I haven't. I'm like, oh, good. So I was like, well, at least I come across as intelligent.
For sure, yeah.
Yep. So I want to point out, for those of you watching the video, you can see the great shirt that Lev is wearing, and as well, check out what I'm wearing.
Oh yeah.
Go Whitecaps! I officially got my gear. I'm pretty happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yep, I ordered it a couple weeks ago. I was like, I should have done this sooner. I got a couple shirts. I need to get a Lev jersey. Still working on that.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any other teams, or are you just strictly Whitecaps?
Oh, I'm Whitecaps. Yeah, I support, I want to say I support local, but you're the closest team. So
okay,
I have to support the Whitecaps. Yeah.
There you go. I like that.
You grew up in Kingston, correct? Ontario?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kingston, Ontario, and I was really fortunate through my upbringing within hockey, to have played for some pretty cool coaches. When I was in Kingston, I actually played for a team in Ottawa, and Luke Richardson was the head coach of the team, and he was just recently announced that he's going to be the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, which is really cool. So I've been really fortunate in that sense. I got to work with John Elkin, and he's worked with numerous teams within the NHL on the goalie coaching side. And then I also had the opportunity to work with Corey Cooper, and he's also working with NHL goaltenders now, and Mike Murphy, who played in the NHL for a couple games. So I've been very fortunate to have some pretty awesome coaches in my upbringing, all met through within the Kingston area.
And you're making me feel old. Luke Richardson, I watched him play. I remember being a kid and being like, the Blues need to go acquire him at the deadline. So hearing that he coached you, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, it was awesome. His whole family is extremely nice. One of his daughters, Morgan, played on my team for 2 years there, and that was just such a special time for me and all the girls that had the opportunity to get coached by someone of his caliber, and somebody who is also passionate about helping the youth as they aspire to go off and play either in college or higher than that. So I'm very fortunate to have met him and had the opportunity to play underneath him.
So growing up in Kingston, if you were a fan of the PHF, your local team would be Toronto, correct? The Sixes?
The Toronto Six.
Yeah,
for right now, I know they just expanded into Montreal. So depending, I guess, in In Canada, there are some people that like the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? In Ontario or the Habs, it's kind of back and forth. So I guess now for players growing up in Kingston, I think the Toronto Six would be their team. But if I'm biased, I think they should be Whitecaps fans. So
Yes, they
uh,
should.
they should, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Support the Whitecaps.
it's funny because that's kind of how I am. My wife and I are polar opposites when it comes to how hockey works in terms of like local talent. Like when the Blues went and got Pat Maroon, when they got uh, Chris Butler, Paul Stastny, it was a big deal for me. And then when Pat Maroon won his last 2 cups with Tampa, I was very excited. He grew up not 10 minutes from where I live now. So it's just, for me, I love it. And so I wonder if kids in Kingston are like, well, yeah, I root for the Whitecaps because that's where Lev's from. And my wife is not like that. She's like, I don't care that Pat Maroon's from St. Louis. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? How can you not care? That's so cool that he's having so much success. So you got to hope that there's some kids in Kingston that are like, I want Lev to win because she's the hometown girl.
I hope so. I guess you can hope. I know living in Minnesota right now, that's definitely the culture for younger players. Knowing that somebody is from their hometown, whether they go off and play for the Gophers or they go off and play for Ohio in college. I know those players are rooting for them, specifically if they've played with them or been coached with them. So I feel like I'm kind of on your side with that. You should root for your hometown buddies, despite where they end up.
Yeah, and part of it too is maybe that, and I'm not trying to make myself look like I'm any better than I am, but like I've played against Pat Maroon, I played against Cam Jansen growing up. So like for me it's like seeing these guys like, look, I played against him. I'm at the same level as him because I played against him, but really I'm just a beer league player. Did you play against anyone big when you were growing up in Kingston?
Oh, yeah. Taylor Hall, I got on the ice with him a couple times, and he was the same age as my brother. And one time some players were doing some scrimmage and they needed a goalie and they couldn't find anyone. So somehow I got roped into doing that. I went on the ice and I think he scored every single time on me except for one where he hit my knob of my stick and my stick went flying into the corner. But I guess I can say I saved him once. Another player on the ice was Matt Cook, and he actually took a slap shot that hit me in the face. My helmet exploded on the ice. I think I was probably like 16 at the time, so I was just completely shocked and scared. But looking back on it now, it was such a cool opportunity that I wish I would have like fully been invested in when I was that age. But it's tough when you're at that age to truly understand the awesome opportunities that you have depending on where you're growing up. And I definitely had that in Kingston, so it was cool. There was a couple guys that got their teeth knocked out on the ice when I was there too. There's bleeding all over the place. They don't stop. They keep going. So that was it was cool. And then on the girls' side, there's a lot of really awesome players that have gone off to play on the Olympic team. Genevieve Lacasse was a goaltender from Kingston, and I actually had the opportunity to not only train with her sometimes in the summer, but also be coached by her. And she's made a pretty big name for herself, winning, I think, two gold medals or 1 gold medal and a silver medal. And then there's other legends from Kingston as well.
So, I want to make a shift here to talking about, your time with the Whitecaps. Obviously, you've been there a couple of years. You were their expansion pick in 2018, 2019, starting goalie. But last season, you kind of hit a roadblock. I only saw undisclosed injuries, so I don't know if you want to talk about what type of injury it was, but you were kept out of action for quite a while.
Yeah, and it was pretty difficult. My teammates were really supportive of me, and I had a great support staff from my coaches and the trainers as well. But for me personally, and I think any athlete, everyone's suffered their fair share of injuries. I've never experienced one during the season, specifically one that was as severe as it was to keep me out of playing. And it's difficult to feel like you're part of the team when you're on the outside and watching your team play. And it wasn't the best season for our team as a whole. We didn't win as many games as we thought that we would, or that we expected that we would. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we just weren't getting the bounces, or whatever it was. So it was a pretty difficult season, physically, mentally, all around, for not only myself, but everyone. It was a great team. The team did the best to stick together, and we went to Florida at the end of the year, and we kind of came back. I actually got to play in 2 more games, which I'll never take for granted. I remember putting my sweater back on for the first time after being out for almost, I think it was at least a month. And just that feeling of putting it on and seeing my teammates and stepping on the ice is incredible. We won that game, but for me personally, the best feeling was just being able to be back with my team. But it was a pretty difficult year from start to finish.
So, for coming back, you mentioned coming back on the rink, playing 2 games. Now you're doing stuff over the summer where you're on the rink constantly. Is this still an injury that's bugging you, or do you feel like you're back to 100%?
Oh, I feel like I'm back to 100%. Definitely when I played in Florida in the Isabel Cup semifinals and our quarterfinal and semifinal, I was definitely not 100%. I still had limited mobility, but my trainer was awesome. She was super supportive. She helped me ease any anxiety that I had. I was a little bit nervous about being able to raise my arm, which I couldn't really do because all the muscles had tightened up, but it was just so fun to be a part of that. And I've learned a ton through injury, and my full-time job is coaching. So being able to share my experience of going through injuries with kids that are dealing with injuries provides a unique opportunity for me to connect with young goalies, and I'm excited for that opportunity. Everyone's going to get injured at some point, specifically as they continue to climb the ladder and get higher and higher. And now I have a unique insight into what it feels like to be injured and to miss some of your season.
So that's something that we talk about all the time with athletes. I think back to Marc-Andre Fleury when it was pretty public. He had to go see a sports therapist, a psychologist, because of some mental issues he was going through after a playoff loss with the Penguins. In terms of injury, it happens. You're told, hey, you're not allowed to be back on the rink. You need to heal. We need to put you through rehab, whatever it was. Mentally, what does that do to you?
Oh, it's tough because for as long as I can remember, a large part of my identity had been surrounded around being the goaltender for the Minnesota Whitecaps. When I would walk into the rink, people would always ask me, "How's the Whitecap season doing? How are the games going? How is practice?" So on and so forth. And it was definitely a big shift and a change for me. I remember the first time I walked into our home rink. I think we were playing the Connecticut Whale, and I walked in and my arm was in a sling, and I'm still in. It was pretty painful, so I'm not fully uh, in the rink, and like in my own head, and I'm walking in, and some of the fans are coming up to me, and they're talking to me, and I saw a pamphlet of our team, and normally my photo is on the front, and this is something that would never bother me before, but for this specific game, my photo wasn't on the front of the pamphlet, and I don't know why, but that was just so hard for me to see. And I'm not somebody who's like that wants my photo out there, but like I felt like a huge part of me was just ripped away. And there was nothing that I could do. There was nothing that the doctors could do. It was just a matter of how long it would be to heal. And I remember from that moment on, the next couple of weeks were really difficult, accepting that I wasn't going to be the Whitecaps goalie, and maybe I wasn't even going to have the opportunity to be the Whitecaps goalie at all this year. And it was a huge shift in who I thought I was. And it was really hard. I love playing hockey, and I love sharing it with people. And even in my personal life outside of the rink, I was very limited in what I could do. I remember trying to lift a pot just to put water into it, and just bursting into tears because it was so painful. So it was definitely a struggle, and a lot of it was because my identity was so surrounded of just being the Whitecaps goaltender. And I think it's a good lesson for me to learn while I'm still playing, right? Eventually one day I'm not going to be able to play hockey. So having a life outside of the rink is just as important as having one inside. So it was definitely a difficult time for me, but I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to go through it, and grateful for all the support staff that I had from the rink. And then also my husband, he took off an entire month of work just to stay with me and be with me and help me with my mental health and with physical daily tasks that I was no longer able to do. As I was still able to coach a little bit, but it was pretty humbling going to the rink and having kids tie my skates for me as I was unable to do it, which now I can look back and laugh at it, but at the time it was pretty difficult to see that, because normally I'm supposed to be helping these kids, and here I am having a 10-year-old tie my skates. But so, something that I can laugh about now, but it was difficult to go through that process.
So let's just say whether it's a teammate, a kid you're coaching, maybe even a player playing in juniors, whatever, they have an injury similar to yours. They feel the way you felt. What is your advice to them to help them kind of get through it, rise above it, and now that you've been through it and you are back to playing, what's your advice for somebody going through that?
I think the most difficult part for me was wondering if I would ever be able to get back on the ice and play at a high level again. It was a pretty significant injury. I'll just tell you. So I broke my collarbone in practice. One of my teammates, a lot of them have hard shots, but this specific one just hit me in the right spot, and unfortunately it broke. And I was just afraid that I wouldn't be able to come back and play anymore, and that fear was pretty tough. And now that I've gone through the injury, recognizing that, I mean, your body's a pretty incredible machine, and it will heal itself eventually, and might not be as quick as you want, but taking things slow and coming back at the right time, and support and leaning on the people around you that are supporting you, which was really important for me to feel like I wasn't alone in every aspect. I felt very alone in the sense that I couldn't play. But this year, as bad as it was with injuries, there was actually a couple other players on the team that had suffered some injuries that sidelined them. So I wasn't the only one standing in the stands, which helped a little bit. I mean, I wanted my teammates to be on the ice and playing, but it was nice to know that there was somebody else out there that was going through the same thing. So I would say if they know somebody who's gone through an injury, just reach out to them, because I feel like we're more alike than we are different, and everyone's got a different story and a different way of going through the process. For me, it was just being with my family. One of the weekends that I was originally supposed to be playing with the Whitecaps and going to the Riveters, when I got the news that I wasn't going to be able to play, I actually went home and saw my family for the first time in 3 years since COVID. And then I had some visa problems where I wasn't able to cross. So going home and seeing family, I know my mom said when I came home, she could see that I was in a lot of pain and I didn't really look all that healthy. And then by the time I left, she was like, "You're a completely different person." And I actually, when I came home from that little trip to Canada, I went on the ice for the first time like 4 days later. So it's amazing what it can do when your spirit is up and you're supported by the right people, and the right people are there to help you with whatever you need. And I'm super fortunate that I have awesome family and great teammates and really good coaches on the Whitecaps. And that's what helped me get through it, was leaning on other people.
Yeah, that's for me, I'm lucky enough I born and raised in St. Louis. A short period of my life I lived in Dallas, away from family. Nobody down there. It was just my wife and my son with me. And you forget how important that support staff is. So I'm sure getting home for you and being able to see mom and being able to see, any other family members, just that alone was going to do so much for you and your mental healing, and being able to do that, and then being able to come back home and say, okay, time to get back to work. I'm sure that was a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt like for the first time I could just relax, and I felt like things were going to be okay. And being around both my parents, who I haven't seen a ton over the past couple of years, just doing things outside of just thinking about my collarbone. Because when I was in Minnesota, that was a main focus of mine, was just I want to be playing right now. My Whitecaps are practicing. I want to be on the ice with them, and I couldn't. And then when I was so far away and just with my family for that whole time, I was distracted the entire time and doing things that I liked with the people that I love. And that it did so much for my mental health. And I think when your mental health is good, your physical health also improves. I ate a lot of really good food. My mom's a great cook, so that probably helped as well. But
Sure.
yeah, it was just it was a blessing to be able to go home and to see everyone. It was also my mom's birthday, and we surprised her. She had no idea that we were coming, and to see how happy she was that me and my husband were there just lifted my spirits as well. So it was a great time for me to be able to spend with family, and it worked wonders for me. I was on the ice as soon as I came back, and then not even a week later, I was playing in the Isabel quarterfinals. So it worked out really well.
So we got a couple fan questions that were sent over. Bo Knows Hockey on Twitter asks, and I already kind of know the answer to this, but what does she do during her off season? You do a lot of coaching for OS Hockey, which is a Winnie Brown organization, one of your former teammates, for girls of all ages. Tell us about OS Hockey and what you do for them.
OS Hockey is an amazing program. Winnie Brown, a teammate of mine on the Minnesota Whitecaps, and an all around amazing human. She has set up such an incredible opportunity for girls to be able to train with other girls who have interest in going off and playing college or the Olympics, whatever it is. She's got programs designed for kids that want to just make their A team or kids that want to go off and play in college. She supports everyone. It's such a cool environment when everyone on the ice is female and playing in situations where these girls want to go. And I coach there from probably about 6 to 8 hours every day, and I absolutely love it. The environment that Winnie has set up is incredible, not only for the players that are coming in through her program, but also the coaching staff. A lot of the goalies that I coached when they were younger are now also coaching alongside me. And it's very cool to see how they've progressed and to see the influence that they can have on these young kids as they step into the program.
He also wants to know, and again, this is Bo Knows Hockey over on Twitter. How many teams does Lev consult for as a goalie coach in Minnesota?
Oh, a lot. I try to do, I mean, I don't have a ton of time with the Whitecaps. Obviously, I want to make sure that I'm playing my best for them and doing what I need to do to be ready for them. But in my off time from that, I try to get on the ice with as many different teams as I can to work with as many different goalies. I'd probably say in the ballpark during the season of probably like 75 teams I'll probably get on the ice with during the season. Yeah. So as you can imagine,
Jeez.
my schedule is pretty busy, but I like it that way. I like to feel like I'm being productive and I'm doing something, and it happens to be something that I love to do. As I mentioned before, I love hockey and I love being able to share it with other people. So it doesn't feel like a job for me to be at the rink all day. And I think it's every hockey player's dream to get to be at the rink all day, whether that's coaching or playing. So I feel very blessed to be where I am right now.
Yep, I've worked for many hockey organizations in the past, companies, and whenever it's like, hey, we need you to get on the rink and take some footage, or hey, we need some shooters for this goalie demo we're gonna do, I'm in. Get me on the rink. That's all I want to do. So yeah, that's I hear you on that. It just being on the rink is, for me, that just helps my mental health. You know, when COVID struck, and I know this struck you as hard as anyone, and nobody, you know, the rinks were closed. We all had to stay home. That was the hardest part for me, was just, I can't get on the rink and, you know, let go of that frustration and feel the euphoria of being able to skate around, shoot the puck. Well, for me, shoot the puck. For you, save the puck. But yeah, for me, that was the hardest part. I'm sure that was difficult for you as well.
Yeah, that was a difficult time for everyone, I think, in different ways. But like you mentioned, there's something so special about just stepping into the rink. I can smell it. I can hear the sounds. One of my favorite sounds is just when fresh blades are cutting into the ice, or as a goalie, I really like it when it hits the post and it doesn't go in. So I like that sound as well. There's just something about being at the rink. And then, especially for me, I really enjoy the people that I work with every day, and my Whitecaps teammates. So being able to go to the rink every day and spend time with them doing something that we love is truly special.
So another question from Bo Knows Hockey over on Twitter. He had one more. Why the walleye pads?
If you've ever seen my Instagram, I like to do goofy things in my goalie gear. I like to get reactions out of just walking into a shopping mall with all my gear on, and talk Whitecaps hockey with people who come over to me and are like, why are you wearing hockey gear here? Like, are you a goalie? So on. So the wall, I wanted to have something cool on my pads, and I'll admit, when I got the pads for the first time, I thought the walleye was going to be much smaller, something where you could see it if you were up close, but if you're in the stands, you couldn't tell that it was a walleye. So it was a little bit shocking to me when I opened it up and there was a giant walleye on the pads. But no other reason other than just wanted to have something different, wanted to look stylish as per se. My pads at the Gophers, I had so many comments from people saying you have the most boring gear in all of hockey, because I had just, I think, a yellow stripe and a maroon stripe, so I didn't want to have that.
Oh, we kind of lost you there again. Are you getting a phone call?
Yeah.
There you are. Okay.
Yeah, my boss has called me 3 times.
If you need to answer it, it's fine. I can
no,
hold. I don't mind.
Okay. No,
okay.
It's all right. I'll just tell her I was on the ice or something.
Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about your time at the University of Minnesota. First of all, Golden Gophers. That's where I wanted to go play hockey before I realized I was terrible. So seeing that you were a Golden Gopher, that's awesome. 3-time NCAA national champion, 98 9-5 record. Obviously a very good program there in Minnesota. But so something we didn't talk about last time that I had you on, basically playing in Minnesota, going and playing elsewhere, playing with the Buffalo Beauts for one, and then getting picked back up by the new expansion Minnesota team. Was that exciting for you to be able to go back to where you played your college hockey?
More than I could probably express. My time at the Gophers were second to none. I loved my teammates there. The fans were incredible. I remember just every game, there were so many fans there wearing Minnesota jerseys, and so many young girls high-fiving us as we came onto the ice. And it was an atmosphere that I hadn't experienced before. And all the fans were super close with the players. There was a power play club where all the players would go up after a couple games, and we'd get to meet the power play club and meet some of the fans that would come pretty consistently. And it's special in the sense that those fans also now come to Whitecaps games. Sometimes they're wearing Gopher jerseys, and it's really cool to have the same fans from college all the way into Whitecaps. It really provides a great atmosphere, and it worked out really well for me for my visa. I'm Canadian, so in order to be able to work in the US, I need to have a visa, and the timing was just perfect. Winnie Brown offered me a job for OS Hockey at the same time that the Minnesota Whitecaps just started their franchise, and to be able to blend the two was really awesome. So it was a super cool opportunity for me, and I was really excited that I have it. At the same time, I loved playing in Buffalo. That was a great organization. We played at the Harbor Center when I was there, which was an amazing facility with a workout center, great ice. I have no complaints about the Buffalo Beauts. They were awesome, and they had super cool jerseys. Those baby blue jerseys are awesome. I can't say that anymore now that I'm on the Whitecaps. Whitecaps have the best jerseys, but
of course,
right. But my time at Buffalo was really special, and I'm happy that I got to play there for 2 seasons before being able to come back to Minnesota.
So yeah, with a couple big news items coming out of Minnesota for the Whitecaps. We'll get to that here for just a second. First of all, for those that may not have noticed, you are relocating. The team is relocating from their team at the Tria rink in St. Paul to the Richfield Ice Arena. For you as a goalie, obviously, for anyone who plays the game, puck plays differently off boards. Maybe the ice feels a little different. For you, the adjustment period of okay, I've got a new home rink. Is that a pretty difficult thing to get through, or is it just another day where it's like, well, this is just, like switching arenas home and away? What is this like for you for your prep for being a goalie?
I'm actually kind of excited for it. So all of our goalie sessions for the Whitecaps were actually at Richfield Ice Arena. So I'm very familiar with the rink. I do a lot of youth coaching there, and I've always enjoyed my time when I'm at the rink. I love Tria as well. I'm going to be a little bit sad that we won't be there anymore, but I'm excited for a new rink. And I know from a lot of the parents and the kids that I coach, they're really excited for it to be at Richfield. Parking at Tria is not always the easiest, and I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. There's a bowl section, so we're going to be able to have fans all the way around. At Tria, the sight lines, at least for the fans, were a little bit tricky for them to see, but now they're going to be all the way around. For me, I whatever rink you're playing at, there's always going to be different bounces off the boards, and I think it's up to you to see where those bounces are and to make a game plan for that. But the rinks are always going to change. I know the PHF has this format where we go to the Isabel Cup finals that we're always going to play in a different rink. So being familiar with playing on different ice surfaces and recognizing that it's the same game at the end of the day and you got to do the same things in order to be successful. So I'm not too nervous about it. I'm actually really excited to have a new home rink, and we get our own private dressing room, which is going to be really cool.
So a couple players you mentioned, we talked about local for you in Kingston, but local Minnesota players are joining the team. Anna Klein and Britton Fleming, as well as an SDHL veteran. I'm probably going to butcher her name, so I apologize. Ronja Mogren. Am I close?
I think so.
Have you met her yet?
I have not met her, actually. She was supposed to come skate yesterday, but she got a new puppy, so she wasn't able to. But I'm excited to meet the team. There's a lot of new players, which is an exciting time. I enjoyed all my teammates from last year, so I'm sad that not all of them will be returning. But again, that's hockey, so I'm looking forward to meeting new players and for us to take this season and to hopefully turn it around. Last year wasn't the year that anyone expected or wanted, and having new players presents a new opportunity for a new season. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to meet these new players and to take the ice with them soon.
So all our forwards, Klein was the former Minnesota Duluth captain, Fleming, Minnesota State all-time points leader. So obviously some fresh new faces up front coming in for you. But with you, obviously being a Golden Gopher alum, is there any kind of like posturing between you all? Like, you think that, hey, I played for Minnesota State, I played for Duluth, I played for the Gophers. Is there going to be issues in the locker room? We're going to hear about a couple fist fights going on.
I don't know. Maybe just players if they're coming from Wisconsin. I think that, at least for me, that was the biggest rivalry. Maddie Rowe last year, one of the defensemen on the team, she played for Wisconsin, and it was always the Minnesota girls versus the Wisconsin ones when the Gophers would play Wisconsin. I remember watching one of the games, and I think Minnesota won in a shootout 2-1. And I remember all the Gophers getting super excited on the bus and then looking over, and there's Maddie kind of with her head down. So it's fun to have that ability to tease your teammates like that. So I'm excited for new players to come on and to experience that with them. But Minnesota, Wisconsin, I think is still the biggest rivalry for me personally.
So I got a couple just random goalie questions that I want to ask you, because we have a lot of conversation on our show about, oh, that's a bad goal. Goalie needs to be able to make that save, or wow, what a great save that was, whatever. What is the worst goal you feel like you have ever given up in your career?
Oh, I gotta pick just one. There's so many.
Just one. How about, okay, let me phrase it down a little bit. Have you ever given up a goal from the other end of the ice?
Not the other end of the ice, but in high school, when Brad Frost came and watched me play, so he's recruiting me. I was playing against this team, and it was overtime, and it was 1-1, and somebody took a shot from the red line, and I dropped down into my butterfly, and I missed it, and it went high glove, and it was super embarrassing. So that one's up there. I think the one that probably bothers me the most that I still remember, maybe have some nightmares about, was we were playing St. Cloud, and we were, I think, it was probably the 60th game of our winning streak, back in, extended from like 2011 all the way up until 2013. And we were playing St. Cloud, who was a team, now they're much better, but at that time they were one of the lower teams, and we were winning, or we were tied 3-3, and someone shot the puck from behind the goal line. And I don't know what I was doing, but I kicked it in my own net. And now it's 4-3, and we have like 2 minutes left in the game. And we're on that huge winning streak. So I think that one was probably the worst goal that I've ever given up. And I still remember it so clearly. Like, I don't know like what I was thinking or what I was doing, but it was absolutely terrible. Anyways, Melissa McMillan, defenseman, like, once the puck was dropped, dangled through like every single player on the ice and scored. So we ended up winning that game 5-4, but that was not a good goal to give up at that time. So I'd say that one was probably the worst, but I've had a lot.
That's one of those where you could probably visibly see you go, whew, thank you.
Yes, definitely. And I think I only had like 10 shots in that game too. So that was just adding insult to injury right there. But we ended up winning, right? So No harm done.
So you're a butterfly goalie. You ever done the 2-pad stack in a game?
Oh, I've never done it in a game, but I did do it at a youth practice when somebody didn't have enough goalies, and I ended up getting a pretty bad bruise from it. So I don't think I'll ever pull that out again, but respect to all the goalies who can do it and pull it off and not look like they're super unathletic. When I try to do it, I just look bad.
We had a game in one of our ice games out here where it was we had like an 8-goal lead, so we started telling our goalie every shot 2-pad stack. That's what you got to do. And I think he let in 3 goals, but he made 1 save with the 2-pad stack. And we were like, "That's all we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the other goals. We're just going to talk about you doing a 2-pad stack."
Yeah, exactly. And you probably see that in the NHL highlight reels when it's like a 2-on-1 and there's a pass across and the goalie does the butterfly or stacks the pads and like spins over and makes a cool glove save. That's like on every single highlight reel film. Mm-hmm. But if they were to do that and get scored on, that's something that like everyone would want to like all delete that clip, right? So it's kind of a toss up. If you can do it and save it, everybody's going to go wild. But if you do it and you get scored on, everyone's like, "Oh, why are you doing that?"
So one other big goalie question I have for you, so it's a big game. Maybe let's talk about maybe the game where you first came back from injury. You're driving to the rink. What's on your radio? What's playing?
Oh my goodness. Probably some country music, if I'm being honest. I am not someone who needs to listen to super pump up jams before I go onto the ice. So it's probably something pretty chill, probably something within the country music genre. I can't believe I can't even remember. I probably was so excited to just be able to be on the bus with the team. Maybe I didn't even have music and I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's I know of guys that do that. They ride in silence, and I know some NHL players do that. So wouldn't surprise me one bit. You want to get your head in the right place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of goaltending is mental, right? So everyone's a little bit different. I like to be calmer when I go onto the ice because I do play a little bit chaotic. So I think if I had chaotic music before I went onto the ice, I would just be going crazy on the ice. So I think I need to have that time to calm down. But there's a lot of I want to say DJs on the Whitecaps, so they pick the music that we listen to in the locker room, and I couldn't even tell you what it is. I don't know half the songs, but it sounds good. Everyone's kind of jamming out to them, so whatever works for each person. Everyone's different in what they like.
So are you saying that if we played you a heavy metal mix before the game, we might see a fight from you?
I feel like that's always a possibility where
Oh
I'd be
boy.
flying out of the net. I don't know. I feel like I need to be a little bit calmer before I go on.
Right. I hear you. First of all, it's always great having you on, Lev. One of my favorite guests we've ever had, and that's saying a lot. I like to say this. We have had Grant Fuhr on, so you're up there with him, so that's
Wow,
awesome.
just made my day. Thanks.
Yeah, no, we mean it. Like I know that we had a listener, a friend of our show. We call him Crappy Goalie because that is his Twitter handle. But his daughter, we call her Crappy Daughter, but it's not because she's a crappy daughter. It's because her dad is a crappy goalie. We asked you. She said she was a fan of yours. She loved the PHF, so we asked you to send something out to her, and you definitely obliged. So shout out to Nicole for listening. I know she's listening to you right now. So thank you very much for doing that. Thanks for being such a good advocate for the sport and for women's hockey.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on again. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
So again, thank you to Lev for coming on. Always fun talking with her. Make sure, again, St. Louis, our closest team is the Minnesota Whitecaps. I know it might be hard to root for a Minnesota team with the Wild in the area, but I mean, it's still the closest for me. It's a cool jersey. It's a good team. I know they had a down year last year, like Lev said, but a fun team to watch. Make sure you, if you check out PHF.com, it gives you all the information you need, but you can stream their games over on Twitch, which I know for our older listeners sounds like a lot of work. Might be like, what is Twitch? But you can figure it out. It's really not difficult. If you need any help with it, you can always reach out to us at Let's Go Blues Radio. We're kind of techie nerds, so we'd be able to help you out as well because we need to support that Minnesota Whitecaps team because they're, again, fun hockey to watch. Love the PHF. If there's not a Blues game on, that's what I'm watching is Whitecaps when they're on. So make sure you check them out if you're interested. Of course, if you're not a Whitecaps person, don't want to root for a Minnesota team, plenty of other teams out there. We mentioned a few in this episode, but check out PHF, their website, and they'll be able to fill you in with what other teams are in the league. Let's get one in St. Louis, right? Let's get one in St. Louis. God, that'd be great. So again, next week, I think we might do a live show. Kurt will be back, maybe Bill, not sure on that one, but we will be doing, hopefully, a mystery hockey theater. So that's where we watch an old Blues game, comment live during it, and kind of just give our thoughts on the players, the play, whatever. We've done a couple of these. We did them last summer, and it was a lot of fun. I think our listeners enjoyed it. I think it's a lot more fun to watch the video. So we had a lot of people tune in live and crack open a beer and just kind of watch the game with us. So that's kind of what the idea is. But obviously, podcasting it, you still get the audio from the game. You still get us talking about it. So still fun. But I do recommend checking out the live video for those when we do those. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at rockinthatidlife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, which provides drinks brewed right here in St. Louis and is available throughout the city and county at numerous grocery stores, liquor stores, and bars. Visit centericebrewery.com to find a vendor near you. That's centericebrewery.com. That will do it for episode 52 of season 10 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, we'll be back with a show next week and the week after that. So I'm going to go probably crack open a beer and go sit on the beach while you St. Louisans do whatever it is you do here. For Kurt Price and Bill Day and, of course, our friend Amanda Leveille, I'm Jeff Ponder, and I will talk with you next week. This was This was Let's Go Blues Radio. I almost said St. Louis Blues Radio, which has not been in existence for 10 years. We went through a name change. That was, how about that? This was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues and let's go Whitecaps.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at fourth.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend. They never give a single goal away. And to prove they are champions every day. 'Cause when it's said and done, they'll have them on the run. These old St. Louis Blues are here to stay. St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way.